Hello, and welcome. Hello, and welcome. Hello, and welcome. I'm the guy, the dude, the lad. This is episode 35 of series none, 69, haha, 96, series none. Dipper goes to Taco Bell. Now, if you know, you know. If you don't know, you're gonna learn today, buddy. You're gonna learn. You're gonna regret. Probably gonna hate me, but that's all right. Cause I hate me too. So it is what it is. I have this small little snack of honey garlic pork and two Oreos. If you haven't noticed, a big theme of this entire series is gluttony. A lot of gluttony. I don't know what I even call this stream right here in terms of like themes. I guess gluttony as well, and far too much lust, but that's neither here nor there. My drink of choice here, of course, is ice cold water. That's like mostly ice from here to there. That's just fucking it's fucking ice. Epic, really. Oh, by the way, did you see that amazing fight between Paulo Costa and Marvin Vittori? Marvin? I feel like it's Martin, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just Marvin. Let's uh, let's just nope, nope. We can do it. There it is. Is it Marvin? Wow, you can't just give me what I want. There you go. Italian too. He's an Italian. Imagine being Italian. Peppery as fuck. Goddamn. Decision wins, baby. Decision wins, baby. Decision wins, baby. Wait, no, submission win, baby. Decision wins, baby. Decisions win, baby. Decision win, baby. Decision loss, baby. Poirier and Gaethje. Decision win, baby. Decision draw, baby. This is my guy. He can't stop deciding. Now, before we even get started, let's just give me 1 second, just one like 10 seconds.
Fire in the disco. Fire in the Taco Bell.
Alright, we're done here. Now what could I mean, I guess this works out. I can't spell, please. My keyboard is it's such an odd angle. Hit me with the trap remix, please and thank you. With the 1 hour, please and thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Perfect. Now I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna steal your fucking content. Thanks for the fucking content, idiot. It's mine now. I'm gonna slow it down to that hot speed of 1.35. A nice smooth 1.35. Feels good, man. Like here. Let's see the OBS level. It's kind of loud. Wait. It's pretty voluminous. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's kind of. I don't like how loud it is. It's. Cause I'm looking at OBS right now. Oh, that's fucking sucks. Let's go. I'm gonna lick this Oreo. I'm gonna put it back down. Fuck you. If you're watching this is a personal insult to you. I'm insulting you with my bullshit right now. Imagine. That's a pretty good Oreo. Dipper goes to Taco Bell. Also, I found this. If you search it, you can't find the original story, but you can find this link. So that's all you get. It was a normal day in Gravity Falls, Oregon. Well, as normal as Gravity Falls gets. Anyways, Dipper Pines, the titular character, was reading his book, and Mabel, his twin sister, was wondering what he was doing. He was reading a book, you dumb bitch. Dipper, are you gonna keep your nose buried in that strange book of yours all summer? You gotta go out. Have an adventure, Mabel exclaimed. Not me. Trying to decode this. He was looking at a cryptogram that said XLSL, SLFA, QBE, QXCL, YBDI, 11II, whatever. Dipper was officially stumped. He could not figure out what it meant, and it seemed very mysterious to him. Grunkle Stan's gonna take us on a. Fuck, that's not her voice, is it? It is now. Grunkle Stan's gonna take us out to the diner for lunch, Dipper, Mabel exclaims. Wait, exclames. It was good, man. Dipper, however, was not in the mood for the diner. He was publicly humiliated the last time he went, and he thought the food wasn't very good anyway. Damn wrecked. 1 star on Yelp. Mabel, I don't want to go to the diner. I want to go somewhere else. But there really is nothing else in town, unless you count the Taco Bell near the forest, Mabel replied. Taco Bell. Dipper's ears perked up. He had never eaten at Taco Bell before, and ever since last week, he had a craving for Mexican food for some reason. Why don't we go to Taco Bell today? Taco Bell, Grunkle Stan questioned. Why do you want to go there? It smells like a bathroom when it smells like the bathroom when it gets clogged. I had my heart set on pancakes. Same voice. It's like 5 versions of like the same dude, whoever. Listen, you can go to Taco Bell if you want, but don't come crying to me when you smell like expired onions. Fine. I will, Dipper said harshly. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, Grunkle Stan said. But as he was exiting the mystery shack, the door hit him on the way out. Ah! Said Grunkle Stan. He was laughing. So anyways, Mabel and Grunkle Stan went to the diner, while Dipper tried to find the Taco Bell. He had brought with him his book and a couple of bucks, but finding the Taco Bell was harder than he had previously thought. He had been looking around town for what seemed like days. The mystery book wasn't helping him either, until he saw a flicker of a sign in the forest. He went into the forest. Why would there be a Taco Bell in the forest? Dipper asked himself. After hiking for about an hour, Dipper finally got to the Taco Bell. But it sure didn't look like any Taco Bell he'd ever seen. It was surrounded by a barrage of giant oak trees in an open field, completely different from the rugged terrain of the Oregon forest. The open field was covered with at least 3 layers of pine needles, which got the attention of Dipper. He stuck his hand into the pine needles. Ow, Dipper shouted. A pine needle poked him. It hurts. The restaurant, Taco Bell, looked like a silo, sort of. Well, it was very cylindrical. The outside had rusty picnic tables, and looked like no one used them at all. Dipper walked up to the restaurant's door. And I can't read for shit. Should I go in there? Dipper asked himself. I'm starting to have second thoughts. Why is there a small, desolate Taco Bell in this forest, miles from the nearest road? But I guess it's my only option. Mabel and Grunkle Stan are probably done with lunch by now. And they were. Mabel wondered why Dipper hadn't come back yet, but Grunkle Stan didn't give a damn. So Dipper entered the restaurant, but he was relieved to see that the interior was normal, except for the high ceiling. There were also no customers inside, but Dipper thought that was normal considering how the franchise was so isolated. He went up to the counter. There was only one cashier working the registers. A very old, slightly deaf, bored out of his skull cashier. Dipper decided what he wanted to order, then approached the register. Excuse me. I'll have the. We only got tacos! The cashier interrupted. Okay, well, I guess I'll have to talk with them. What'd you say? The cashier yelled. I said I want a taco. Dipper yelled back. Okay then. The cahier said. French word right there. Then went to the back for a few minutes. When he came out, he was carrying Dipper's taco. I don't $1, the cashier said. Dipper gave him the money and went to sit down at the least grimiest table. I gotta prep to read this because it's I don't want to, like, shoot into the mic. So that's on me. I'm sorry if I'm leaning back too far. It's a bit annoying, I know, but I don't want to shoot in the mic, you know what I'm saying? He bit into the hot, spicy, juicy taco, filled with thick, pure meat, mild, tantalizing black beans, and sour, fluffy sour cream. He enjoyed the single bite of that perfectly cooked taco, and still tasted it in his mouth after he swallowed it. But as he was about to bite into it for a second time, he felt a churning movement inside of his body, something that he felt often. Uh-oh, Dipper said, and then rushed to the lavatory. The lavatory? I mean, it means bathroom, but I haven't said it out loud ever. Huh. The lavatory. Man, that really went through me, Dipper said to himself. For some reason, the bathrooms are hidden in the corner, far from the counter, and far from the table he was sitting at. When he walked in, he found that the bathrooms were surprisingly clean, for a fast food restaurant anyway. Dipper had found Dipper found this suspicious. I can't read it. I guess I'm adding words now. All the stalls were full, and no one was using the urinals. But right on cue, someone walked out of the stalls. Dipper didn't pay much attention to who was walking out, but he was wearing all black, and had a plastic bag with him. Dipper just had to go. Unfortunately, he didn't make it in time. He checked his pants and found the worst of all. Found the worst of all. I'm sorry, this is where it gets bad. This is where it gets really bad. Diarrhea. Yeah, Dipper said. He was about to leave the stall when he noticed a bulge in his pants. He touched the balls. He touched the bulge, and once he touched it, he knew exactly what it was. It was an erection. He found himself completely aroused after touching it, and started to do it some more. Eventually, he was ready to hardcore masturbate. He didn't know it was arousing him, but he knew he was aroused. He took off his blue shorts and soiled underwear, revealing his medium-sized but not small pence. I'm not saying that word. Look, I can't say it's censored. The tip was bright and red, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Dipper started to yank his Johnson harder and faster. The 5-inch was getting pumped. Dipper's soiled hands started to feel bits of pre-cum on his dried fingers. Mr. Pre-cum. Eventually, the medium-sized couldn't take it anymore, and then burst in an explosion of got all over the walls and toilet. Dipper felt proud. He had creamed himself for the first time, but he was upset that it was not over Wendy. No, Dipper thought. All this is not enough for me. I need to release all of this. With his erection still active. Like, the term active for it. Like, it's still turned on. I guess it is still turned on. Erection mode on. Dipper began yanking his pins again. It was much quicker, and Dipper quicker. It was a bigger release than last time. It began to rain Dipper's seed. I need another smoke break. What is this, you ask? I'm reading something that should not be allowed on Twitch. Because no one's watching, so I'm fine. No one's gonna report me at school. Dipper felt more proud than last time. His heart about to burst from all the droplets falling down from the ceiling. He felt as happy as he felt on the day of the first snowfall of the year. That's some pretty good imagery. I like the snowfall and the truck. He stuck his tongue out to taste the cum. Shiny from the salty fluorescent lighting in the bathroom, he tasted it and thought it was one of the best tasting things in the world. Better than the largest chocolate bar, better than the rarest pig, and better than the taco he was having earlier. By now, he couldn't stop. He couldn't leave now and miss out on this great masturbation adventure. He wanted to taste the cum. He scraped a handful of it off the wall and put it in his dirty, wet mouth. What the fuck? He grabbed another, and another, and another. He was getting more aroused by consuming the cum, and he released another load. So that's where it's all coming from, Dipper said to himself, all over his face and teeth. Dipper came up with a solution to get a more hardcore... I don't know what that word can even be. Like, I don't... A more hardcore, I don't know. It's a new word. A more hardcore masturbation experience. He was gonna put it into action. He tilted his head down, sat down on the cum-covered ground, grabbed his hardened Johnson. I like capitalized Johnson. It's pretty good. And stuck it in his mouth. Once it was firmly in, Dipper began to suck on the very hard rod. He sucked it like a lollipop he got at the country fair a while back. It tastes a lot like it too. His legs were so expertly over his shoulder that he could have been a gymnast. The more he sucked on his hard, the more his aroused legs shook. Eventually, just when he was going to give out, he came in his mouth. It was the best thing he ever experienced, and kept on performing fellatio on himself. I look down a little bit, it gets worse. It gets so much worse. I wasn't ready for this. I don't think I can post this anywhere. I can't. It's an illegal video. It's literally an illegal fucking video. I can't. It's filth. As he was stimulating himself orally, he accidentally fell over to his side. He broke from his penis and cummed on the floor. The floor was covered in so much of Dipper's cum that he started to make a snow angel in the cum, or a cum angel. He was eating some in the process. But then he looked to his side, and immediately became so hard that the red tip was touching his short pubic hair. He saw what was causing it. He saw his underwear covered in dark brown feces. He held up his underwear, which was covered in the cum-filled floor, and marveled at its erotic beauty. The feces were so beautifully ejaculated, so smooth in its sticky brownness, so perfect they felt in Dipper's white hands. He wanted his shit. He held the brown underwear like a fish on a lure, and put his sticky white lips to the sticky brown feces. His tongue was rubbing the crap all over the tidy whities, making his mouth all a brownish white mess. He was biting the shit and sucked it in his mouth. It was more stimulating than ever before. He now knew that he didn't need Wendy or Mabel, his sister, of course, that's his second choice, or any of the other girls in Gravity Falls. All he needed was a big pile of shit. He took a scoop of the feces, then in brackets, in parentheses, he had a lot of diarrhea, and began to spread it over his dick. Every time he spread the crap, he was getting more and more aroused. Once his dick was completely brown, he came again. It filled up all the spots in the stall that weren't covered by Dipper's. Dipper took big scoops of and consumed it in large gulps. Now Dipper had to put the brown sticky feces all over his pants again, and boy did he do a good job. The brown stuff was all over his external genitals and his testicles. He had a few times here and there. Now his beautiful brown genitals needed to be cleaned, but Dipper didn't have any cleaning supplies, so he had to suck the off. He brung his eruption up to his mouth, but he broke his dick and began to suck. This time he made it very clear, as opposed to last time, when he very clear to lick the feces off of his tongue, and as soon as his tongue touched his dick, he cummed. He was having the most fun he had ever had in a bathroom stall and forgot who he was, where he lived, where he was, or what he was eating. All that was on his mind was his sweet cum. Dicker? That's on me, I'm sorry. Dipper took a scoopful of diarrhea and a spoonful. Where's he getting the spoon from? And put it in the toilet. He flushed it, but before it went all the way down, he grabbed the wet pile of shit and cum and stuck it in his mouth. Why did he have to flush it? It was already in there. Dipper was consuming all of the shit, cum, and toilet water, and it tasted great. He kept on doing it for God knows how long, and one of the times he hit his head against the toilet rim. Dipper's brain must have knocked out of place at that time, because instead of putting the shit and cum on his food hole, he started to lather it onto his pants again. He wanted more of his Johnson, but that would be a fatal mistake. Once it was covered again, he put it in his mouth and began sucking, but he did it too hard. As he was sucking and coming, he accidentally bit on his dick. As soon as he tasted the blood, he broke out of coitus and saw his lacerated penis. He saw a mix of blood and cum coming out of it, like lava, his erectile muscle pointing out. Dipper grabbed it and grimaced in pain. He winced at it and looked horrified. He snapped out of it all and tried to figure out a solution to the castration. He put some more diarrhea and cum on it, but that didn't stop the bleeding. Dipper spit out the piece of dick that he had bit off and tried to reapply it, but it didn't work. No matter how many times he tried to reattach it, they all failed. He put more of his reproductive fluids on the castration, but they only made them swell up, like the Goodyear blimp. Dipper was licking the blood off to try and stop it, but the blood was coming faster than he could lick. He was now in ultimate pain and felt nothing like this. He screamed as loud as he could and felt like no one could hear him. He was screaming louder and louder, saying, "Help! I bit my dick off." He was going insane. He started to bang against the stall, screaming help as loud as he can yell. After a full 5 minutes, with a large mix of blood, cum, and feces on the floor, he was banging his head against the stall. The banging was louder than the loudest thunderstorm, and yet no one came for help. Dipper was now alone in the bathroom, alone in the stall, alone with his beloved dick, now to near death, and unfortunately, he was near death. With one final blow to the head, the now screaming Dipper was now as silent as Christmas Eve. He fell to the floor, eyes turned skyward, and fell in a mix of his own blood, cum, and feces. At the Mystery Shack, Mabel was feeling very worried about Dipper, so she went off and tried to find him. She went to the forest first. She knew where it was, and surprisingly, got there in less time than Dipper. As she entered the newly cleaned door, she immediately noticed the once bitten taco on the tables, and immediately knew it was Dipper's. Mabel rushed to the men's bathroom. She liked to use the urinals, and rushed into a random stalls. It was her brother's. Mabel looked at how messy the stall was, and it was used to do the deed. Her pink sneakers were sticky from sticking into the reddish brown mess of fluids. She walked around the messy stall for a bit, but then saw the most horrid sight she could imagine. Dipper's corpse. Mabel was welled up in tears at the sight of it. As she was crying, she sat down in a pile of blood, feces, and cum, and looked at Dipper's lifeless face. It was beautiful, as his smooth facial features complemented the circle of cum around his lips.
"Oh, Mabel. Oh, Dipper," Mabel said through her tears. "Let me clean that white stuff off of your lips."
Mabel brought Dipper's head up to hers, and she kissed him. After pulling out of the kiss, Mabel enjoyed it, so she kissed him again. "Cause you don't want to be here." She didn't want to let go of Dipper. Not now, not when he had just died. He was her brother, after all. She held Dipper's naked corpse in her arms, and she felt a tingling feeling in herself. A secret dirty side. No one would care if we just did it right. He is dead, and now I would know in this bathroom stall. She immediately came up with the answer. She pulled Dipper's head into her head and kissed him again, only it was a French kiss. Once Mabel was done, she put the body on the floor. Then Mabel got down on the fluid-covered floor too. Mabel started to go on a kiss crazy frenzy with Dipper that made it look like a lot like Dipper was alive. Tongue went into Dipper's deceased mouth, scraping the feces and cum off the roof of Dipper's mouth. Mabel was shaking even more now that her tongue was touching Dipper's. She unzipped her jeans, slowly slid them off, and threw them at the wall. They stuck there from the cum. I don't want to finish that Oreo. I can't do it. This wasn't intentional. I didn't know this was happening, but that brown and white coloring is very, that brown and white's very threatening right now. I don't know how to feel about that one, actually. Mabel revealed her nice, clean, exposed version V from Cyberpunk. She took Dipper's corpse, not noticing the eternally bleeding penis, and brought it closer to the cervix. She rubbed her clitoris for arousal purposes before she stuck it in. And once the dick was firmly in, she finally felt joy in her life. She loved the feeling of losing it to her brother's dead body, and started to get the oddest feeling. She lost it. She finally lost it. Her sanity or her virginity, I don't know. She squealed in happiness and started to French kiss Dipper harder. Her tongue almost touched Dipper's uvula. She kept holding it onto his lacerated dick in her V, and sloshing her tongue all around Dipper's mouth. She kept pulling in and out with Dipper's stick. Blood was getting on her urethra walls. Not noticing one bit, she did not want to leave the body. Not now. She would kill herself if it could mean they'd be in coitus forever. If only Dipper could kiss her back. That is such a striking line. It's an arresting line. It's just you have this wall of insanity. Absolute fucking insanity. Just sin. And then this line right here that takes you out of this madness. I don't know how to think. After what seemed like hours, it wouldn't fit in. Mabel finally looked down at the now pretty messed up penis. Mabel couldn't look away from it. It was swollen to the size of her head. A whole mix of rainbow colors and still spewing lifeless cum. Mabel vomited on it, which only made it worse. It grew bigger and bigger. "Oh, Dipper," she said softly. Then Mabel started to scream. She was horrified at the sight of it and started to barf again. She tried to put a giant mix of blood, cum, and vomit and feces on the dick, but it didn't work. She tried to suck it all off, but found herself enjoying the sucking and the taste of Dipper's penis blood. She kept sucking on it, tasting the blood, and touching and fondling Dipper's dead erectile muscle. She was ecstatic. She was more happy than she'd ever been. More happy than she was before. She was squealing with delight. The stone door started to open a crack. Mabel took notice of this. Huh? Huh? She had asked. The door started to open more. It wasn't locked. Mabel started to get nervous. She didn't want to go to jail for necrophilia. She was only a child who bit off more than she could chew. She got too ahead of herself. After lusting after her brother for so long, if it was the police, she had no hope. She hoped it was just another Taco Bell employee who would listen and help her out. The stone door finally burst open. Standing in front of it was a man dressed in black. He had a Taco Bell logo sewn onto the left of his fleece jacket. He was wearing squeaky shoes. He was wearing Air Force Ones. He was good, man. That squeaked across the bathroom floor. He was wearing all black. He was wearing dark sunglasses. You can't say glasses, I guess, at all. The mysterious man walked up to the two of them slowly. Mabel stood on her face. Fear and blood on her face. I don't even care anymore. The man stared at Mabel for a long time until he finally said, "Are you supposed to be in this blood, young lady?"
"Mister, I didn't listen to this to my brother," Mabel said, shaking with tears in her eyes. Yeah, he doesn't. You can't afford Yeezys on the Taco Bell, salary. It's not very, not a lot of money in that. You know what I'm saying? The man brought himself closer to Mabel's face. Sir, you're in my personal space. Mabel tried to manage. The man was inspecting the red spot on Mabel's cheek. After several seconds, the man touched the spot, trailed his finger on it, and put the finger in his mouth. Blood. What did you say, sir? Mabel asked him, not understanding what he was saying. Little girl, do you know what that is on your cheek? The man asked. Mabel repeated what the mysterious man did to her cheek, and said it back to him. It's blood. And with the blood being on your cheek, have you developed, shall we say, a desired taste for it? The man asked back. Mabel did not notice the retractable chisel in his right hand. Yes? I didn't mean to, I just... Shh. The man quieted her. If you liked the addicting taste of it, why don't you just say so? And without warning, the man cut her across the chest with the chisel. Mabel screamed at the pain of it. Blood started to pour out of the diagonal cut fast, almost covering her stomach. You can lick that up. Your blood probably tastes better than that, kids. The man said, pointing to Dipper. Then the man gave another cut across her face. She screamed again, louder this time. Now you can get the blood close to your face, and just to make sure you're silent. The man then slit her across the neck. She could not scream this time. The man went into her neck and pulled out 3 vocal cords. He stretched the cords out and he jumped rope with them, while slashing Mabel across the face several times. Her face was cut so many times that her nose fell off. The man decided it was time for scalping. He took out a bigger knife and slammed it right above Mabel's eyebrows. The man gripped the knife's handle, still in her face, and began to make a deep cut. The man put all his strength in it because he decided to make the hardest part first. He tried to do it right on the skin, but sadly did not do the job he liked. Mabel's head was now topless, the top of her skin exposed and violently cut so that you could see her brain inside the skull. The pieces of muscle and flesh were still attached to Mabel's hairy scalp, so the man cut them off. Her scalp was now as thin as skin, but still full of Mabel's hair. He hung the scalp on the whore on the door. It would be his prize, something he kept for himself. Now the man prepared for the rest of the body. What he wanted to do was make it rain, not water as you may think. Money? Is he gonna make it rain money? I hope. He's not making rain money. I read below. He wanted to make it rain something else. He got down to Mabel's covered chest, grabbed her fully, not following the whole rest, and began to cut off Mabel's nipples. After once he was done, the blood started to come out like Old Faithful geyser. And he was amazed by the sight of blood, by the sight of the fountain of blood, and began to dance around in the stall, stepping in all the fluids that were on the floor. When the blood was starting to flow a little less slowly, the man moved on to the legs. The man hung Mabel's nipples next to the scalp. The nips were his prize too, thank you. And started to cut Mabel's legs. He started to cut faster than a race car driver on a smooth asphalt track. The cuts kept appearing on her kneecaps until the cat bone was exposed. By that time her lower legs and body were only attached by a string of cartilage. Mabel's body was losing so much blood that she started to flatten out. The place where it was mostly coming out of was her toes. The toe blood was making a sea of red on the floor. The man, now with his Taco Bell fleece jacket splattered with red on it, now dug the knife into Mabel's left foot and began to make another cut, similar to what he did to her scalp, and began to cut the skin off the foot. The cut was much better than what he did to the scalp. He did the same to the other foot and then hung the skin next to the scalp. Mabel's feet were now just a big mess of flesh, muscle, blood, and nerves. Mabel, who's still alive, of course she is, because face was now completely exposed to all the cuts she was getting, her mouth hanging open like a gaping person. The blood was already covering her chest, and since the man actually had a soul, he didn't want to subject the little girl to the misery she was about to endure. He took a long knife, stabbed her in the middle of the chest where her heart was. The heart's not in the middle of the chest, you fucking idiot. Blood poured out of it more than her cut off nipples did. Once most of the blood was done spewing, the man got now near Mabel's bloody vagina. He very carefully took his knife, got down near the cervix, and stuck the knife's blade up in the hole. Well, when Mabel's cock gave, the man was rotating the knife, cutting up the walls of Mabel's egg chamber. The tip finally got inside of it and very carefully snipped every one of Mabel's fallopians. It was a hard job. He had to be very careful. He had done it many times before, but today wasn't his best day. He accidentally slit some of the sides of Mabel's vagina, cutting into the muscle surrounding it. The man was very embarrassed. Shit, hopefully no one noticed that, he said to himself. He took the knife out of Mabel's hole with ovaries and 2 fallopians on the blood-covered blade. The man got out a big plastic trash bag and scraped the knife on it, making the contents go into the bag. But since the knife's handle was covered in more blood than he usually was, he accidentally let it slip, and it dug right into Mabel's right shoulder. Perfect, the man said ominously. The man got out a pair of vinyl gloves and put them on his hands. He gripped the knife tightly, wanting a deeper cut than he had before. After a while, after digging and digging and digging, he felt the man's knife finally got through to the other side. Once the man saw the job he did, he threw the arm in the trash bag. The man felt great pride and felt that he could finally achieve he could easily achieve his goal now. The man went to the other side of Mabel's nearly skinned body and began to cut that arm off. It was easier to do than the other one, surprisingly, and once he had done that, he threw the arm into the garbage bag. Mabel's body was now almost flat due to all the blood lost. The man tasted some of it and thought that he should get another jar for later. Now for the legs. The man did the same with her legs and felt like they were getting easier to cut off each time. The legs were off, the man threw it in the bag. Mabel's body was flat now. Almost all the blood from her body was gone. Embracing Mabel's dismembered body, he hugged it, licked the remaining blood off, and put the body in the bag. The man now had just noticed Dipper's body on the floor and figured he must have caused all this in the walls. Yeah, the cum on the wall? Yeah, all the cum. Yeah, it probably did cause it. Another one couldn't hurt, the man said to himself and started to cut off Dipper's appendages. He did it in the same order and same manner of Mabel's. It was done quickly, thank God, and put it all in the bag as well. Now it was time to clean up. As you can imagine, the bathroom stall was a big mess of fluids. The man got out a big chisel and started to chisel the cum off of the walls and into the bag. It took a long while, about 2 or 3 hours. Once it was done, he needed to clean the floor, so he went outside the stall and got a mop that he had with him the whole time. He mopped the whole mess of things up off the floor and into the bag, until the floors and walls looked respectable. For a fast food bathroom anyway. The man got out some toilet cleaner and cleaned the toilet because it was a whole lot messier than the stall itself. After a few minutes, toilet cleaning was over and the stall was as clean as a brand new car.
It smelled like it too. And the man left the bathroom, stall, and the stall waited, ready for its next victim. The man got out of the bathroom, went to the back kitchen of Taco Bell. He got near a machine. It was an odd-looking machine. It had a crank on the side, a funnel at the top, and something shaped like a taco on the side near a conveyor belt. Why do I have to do everything myself? He hung up his bloodstained jacket and sunglasses, revealing his Taco Bell employee uniform. It was spotless. The man took the bag and one by one started to put all of the body parts into the funnel. Once the bag was half empty, he started putting more parts in, only this time he turned the crank. Once the bag was completely empty, out popped 2 tacos. They weren't tacos really. They were actually human body parts in the shape of tacos. They went down the conveyor belt, and the employee, using spray cans, began to spray paint the body parts. Once they got to the Taco Bell tissue paper in the conveyor belt, they looked like genuine tacos. The man grabbed one of the tacos, wrapped it in tissue paper, and went to the front of the counter. He handed it to the old man cashier, then went to the depths of the kitchen. "Here's your taco, sir," the man said to the fat customer. "You're welcome," Zeus said. Handing the cashier the money. So this story, of course, had themes of the supernatural. Of course, mentioned very near the end, the stall and having a victim. Though, of course, the stall necessarily isn't the victim, or isn't the perpetrator here. It's not the stall's fault. It's the taco's fault. Um, you can very clearly see the biblical themes of lust and gluttony playing into effect here, with the fact that if Dipper just went to the diner, he would have been fine, but he decided he wanted Taco Bell despite his better judgment, and then he came a lot, shat a lot, bled a lot, died. And of course, you also have the sort of a bit of the Greek tragedy here. With Mabel, she tried to find her brother. She tried to save her brother, but got caught up in the aura that Dipper's punishment brought upon her, falling towards her base urges, in which then caused her to fuck her brother and her dead brother, and then vomit on his penis, and then I will say this, whoever wrote this has a really fucking good sense for making things just really hit different. They very, very well mimic the sense of like someone who's really young. You know what I'm saying? Like I can see that a lot of the typos and mistakes and grammatical issues here. For one thing, it fell apart around here, and one thing I would notice is that there's a reoccurring line. Where was it? It was until the floors and wall looked respectable for a fast food bathroom anyway. And then you go back up here. It's a lot of text. A lot of text. Even this line here. It's too intentional, I would say. But where is it? Gotta find that line. He found that the bathrooms were surprisingly clean. For a fast food restaurant, anyway. That reoccurring line really clued me in for sure that this was someone who wanted to write a story that would absolutely just fuck you up and would make you just like not want to finish it. Like it does actually get harder to finish. You go from like a guy pooing his pants and jerking off in the washroom, which is like, alright. Then he comes a lot and you're like, alright. Then he mixes the cum in the poo and you're like, alright. Then he like then he puts it in toilet water and you're like, oh, okay. And then he bites his dick off and you're like, oh. Then he dies after going insane. Then he goes insane and he kills himself by slamming his head against the bathroom wall, a stall wall. And then his sister comes in and she like kisses him in a pool, I guess a pool of cum and shit and blood. And then she fucks him with his bitten off dick. And then she notices it and she vomits on the bitten off dick. And then she gets torture porn for a bit and dismembered. And then the dude, and then it kind of gets more tame after that, because you go from like weird sex stuff to just putting bodies in a meat grinder and making tacos, which is all pretty alright. So it's a good dynamo. All in all, 9 out of 10. Maybe 8, like an 8.5, I'd say, because it's a bit too obvious that someone wrote this with the intention of making me want to kill myself. If it was just a bit less obvious, it's a bit too easy to sort of like just like conclude, okay, someone wrote this someone wrote this intentionally to make someone really hate it. That's kind of what clued me into the fact that, okay, this isn't as bad as I thought it was, because it's not like an actual kid writing this. So there's that. So yeah, 8.5, 9 out of 10 is very good, but it's just a bit too obvious, I would say. So I'm the guy, the dude, and the lad, giving a shout out to 1 Hour Fan Music and the original song maker, Osiris. Shouts to whoever the fuck wrote this, because they are one of the best brains in our society at this moment in time. And shout outs to Dipper and Mabel and Seuss and Taco Bell employee and Grunkle Stan for taking us on this wild fucking ride. I'm the guy, the dude, and the lad. Scumbag on YouTube. Identification on Twitch, and I'm dying mentally. I'm reeling. Like I'm deleting the details from that story. I'm deleting right now. I'm running 2 processes. I'm running the stream process and the delete that shit process, and I really just, my brain does not want to. My brain's like turning into a rock, trying to just solidify and delete that information. I'm actually struggling right now to say anything that I've said before. So I'm the guy, the dude, and the lad signing off. I will see all of you, in your homes tonight. So watch your fucking back, and I bid you adieu.